Hi, everybody. This is Jason,
This is Pete.
and this is the Lost Legions podcast. And what are we talking about today, Pete?
Oh, it's here. The leaks. The leaks of the rulebook has arrived. Oh,
I mean, it's massive. Like massive actual pictures of the book have arrived. I don't know how. The heresy gods have delivered. The internet has provided. And Pete and I are going to run through a quick 20-minute overview. There's so many different rules changes in this. We talked about maybe we'll do an overview, and what we'll do is over the next week or two, as this is kind of percolating in everyone's head, we'll tackle the different sections that we have and get into those more specifically, because I feel like a giant just run through of all of this in depth will just miss a lot. So let's just jump in and we'll talk about stuff one by one. We'll run through the different sections and what they do. We might be a little bit wrong because we've just read these quickly in between lunch because Pete and I are both at work.
so hot takes in 20 minutes. That's what we wanted to aim for, Jay, wasn't it? Right. Quick
exactly.
overview, 20 minutes. There'll be a ton of other people doing deep dives. No need for us to do it right now. And as you're alluding to, we'll come back and pick up the bits that we want to talk a bit more in depth about, right?
So I think I'm taking a hit from Pitt and saying, let's crack on, because
we've used a minute 30 of our 20-minute allowance. Let's go.
All right. First off is challenges. And we've run through a lot of challenge stuff already because they have their little preview release. So I'm just going to kind of run through the points that I saw. The active player declares a challenge, selects the model can fight from the other side. If they decline, they get disgraced. But now we know what disgraced does.
Enlighten me. I've not read that yet.
So disgraced, all weapon skill and leadership is halved, and you go to initiative 1. Ooh. So I say, Pete, you're a warsmith. I challenge you. And you say, no, thank you. Weapons leadership halved, and you go to initiative 1.
Amazing. So I just get bullied back into the corner. Yeah.
Yes. And I think what happens is it just lasts for that turn, and then I think next turn that person can challenge again.
So you still get to hit, you still get to attack, but you get to attack very.
And your leadership's still there, but it's halved, right? So like at that point, the sergeant's leadership's going to be better, or the people in there's leadership's going to be better.
Cool.
I think it's cool. Yeah, and then it's the same kind of thing. There's the face-off roll to see who goes first. You add the different 9 gambits, and the winner goes first. And we'll get into what the gambits are, because now we know what all 9 are. We'll do another video on that later.
Hey, quick one. You know who won't be disgraced?
Who?
Which legion?
Surely
the Night Lords. They'll just be like,
the Night Lords.
I'm just going to go to the back of the queue over here and then stab you in the back. Yeah.
Oh my God. If
they'll probably have like, they never suffer disgrace or something. Yeah.
If they get a special rule that says you don't suffer disgrace, I will love them even more. My favorite traitor legion's the Night Lords. Oh, that's hilarious. Flyers have been cleaned up. So there's a page on flyer rules in here.
Very exciting.
General notes, and we'll get into this later because this will be more relevant when we get to something else down the line. Flyers don't block line of sight. They're not affected by terrain. Don't gain tactical statuses, so you can't be stunned. They can't be locked to combat. Can't be attacked in melee. Can't do reactions unless stated in the reaction.
Okay.
And don't roll in the vehicle damage table. They just lose a hull point, which we'll get onto later as well.
Okay. It's worth saying, isn't there's a lot of changes to flyers by the looks of things. So if you get the time to read it yourselves, go for it. There's tons there. I think if it's fair for me to say, Jay, that's going to be a subject that we want to come back and do a bit more of a deep dive on for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later as well.
But they're looking pretty cool.
But like I said, this is our quick reaction video and an overview for you guys so you can see what the changes are. The Force Org. Now, the Force Org is, again, something we're going to have to come back and do a deep dive on. We're sharing the picture because a lot of these are just like are not going to make much sense, like unless we look at it. So the way it's changed, as I can tell, and I'm trying to sum this up into a quick overview, is there's no compulsory troops now, it seems. Instead, you get prime units.
Yeah.
And the prime units, as you can like see in the picture, have the little stars around them. It might be a little far out, but you get 2 prime units from this Crusade primary detachment. And that's like the base. And apparently there'll be other ones of these. So we don't know. Like, we don't know a lot about it. But that one at the very top is the High Command. And I'm not sure if that is another character slot or you have to pick one of your other characters to be the High Commander.
Yes, I
we'll
would imagine so, right?
Yeah.
Don't know. Who knows?
And then the 3 below it are command slots. So these are like console slots, right? And one of those can be the prime console. And they get bonuses again. And we'll go into the bonuses again. I think that's like they get +1 to a lot of stats.
Yep.
Then
These are
there's
troops,
4
aren't
troops.
they? Standard
Yeah.
troops.
And one of them is a prime unit, so they're going to get bonuses to a bunch of stats. Like I think +1 to leaderships, and the sergeant in that squad can get a bonus, so he gets like +1 to attack.
Yeah.
So he becomes like a 2 attack sergeant. There's a list of ones, but I thought like this was kind of worthy of a video to go through and talk about.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, sorry, I'm cutting you off. I didn't mean to. These, and then you got four transports, right? Is what that little symbol.
No, you're helping me out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So in a summary, tons of different detachments all coming together to build an army list right now.
Yes,
as opposed to
so
one force or whatever.
I was listing these out, and I was like, okay, we should just show the picture because this is going to show what's going on, and you could kind of see like in the allied detachment, there's up to 2 characters, 2 troops. Or 4 troops, I think.
Yeah.
And then down below, the interesting thing I thought that maybe we could touch on briefly here is that each thing is kind of separated into its own detachment now. It seems like heavy support. We see a picture of a dreadnought. Shock assault. We see pictures of terminators, right? Like, so each of these things is kind of its own detachment now. I'm not 100% sure how this goes together. And like I said, we'll delve more into this later. But it seeming like there is a force org, you're going to be able to take a bunch of stuff. I mean, the reactions I've seen right now, what people are mostly worried about is people just throwing in allied detachments willy-nilly. I would say watch for your TOs to restrict that. You know, do whatever you want in your home games, but watch for your TOs to restrict that so you don't end up getting like a melange, like a medley, as a bag of Skittles of people taking the best units. I think that this will be quickly stomped on by TOs and events, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
And we'll see how this works for balance just in general. Sorry, go ahead.
No, as I say, I don't know if that's necessarily my main concern about it. Like, yes, of course, if you can just take all the most powerful things from powerful legions, etc., then it's going to be a bit interesting. For me, it's more the way that the army is going to look and feel on the table. Like, it's nice to play against a cohesive force. You don't want to be playing against, as you say, skittle color marine army. I think for event purposes, that reason alone, because actually we don't know what penalties there might be yet, or the bonuses you don't get, rather, for having a cohesive force. There might be something like that further in the game.
Yeah, there might be something to do with scoring too.
Exactly.
Right?
So this is all snippet information, isn't it? It's worth us saying this is all just leaks at the moment. They are clearly genuine leaks, but we're taking pages out of the broader scope of the full context, I guess.
Yeah, cool. I mean, this is not the full context, so we'll see. But it does seem like it's very open now, and you start with your base primary detachment, and you add to that. I think that's the simplest way to put it.
Yeah.
And we'll jump back on this later and do a whole video on this.
Yep.
Why don't we move on to reactions? So reactions now have an allotment, so you can only do so many reactions per turn. A bonus amount of reaction based on game size. So I think the most relevant is +1 reaction from 1,500 to 3,000, because we usually play around that.
I think it was 3.5K in the example, but you're quite right. Yeah.
No, good shout. Other special rules can add reactions, and if affected by statuses, units can make reactions. So the reactions are still reposition, return fire, overwatch. Advanced reactions are death or glory, intercept, evade, which is being able to move, nullify, which allows you to nullify a psychic curse.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, please carry on. I'll come back in a sec.
Heroic Invention allows you to challenge an enemy if they do not. Combat Air Patrol allows your flyer to come out and shoot a player in aerial reserve. So if they come in, you come in and shoot them.
Sick, yeah.
This is where Pete's so excited when we were prepping for this.
Flyers are back, baby.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I'm taking notes, and he's just like screaming, "Flyers are back!"
Just hear all my planes in the background, just making gun noises at each other. Yep. And then
what's the other one called? I didn't put the name on there. So the next one is you fly on and drop off troops and then return to reserves.
The extraction.
Extraction.
Yeah.
This is when we were talking about it, and I forgot to put the name.
Emergency extraction, emergency drop off. I think it's called something like that, isn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, there's one where you fly on, the reaction where you fly on and you drop off troops, and then there's one where you fly on and pick them up and fly away. Why don't you just briefly talk about this, because you were very excited about it?
Yeah, so it looks like when you bring, so these are, so the reaction side of things is, I think you can react to a plane so you're reacting to an enemy plane coming on and doing a disembark mission or whatever it's called. So it's touching on flies a bit more detailed here, I guess, but they got like the combat, what's it called? Combat patrol statuses or something like that, along those lines.
Combat air patrol.
That's it. So whenever you bring a flyer on, you've got, it looked like one of 4 options to do, and it could be like a strafing run, it could be a dropping your troops off, picking troops up, that sort of stuff. And then there's certain reactions which can then intercept that, like Jay said, you can bring planes onto it or flies on to intervene against that. But touching on the combat air patrol status, which is the one that I really liked, is the idea. Well, I said to Jay just now, I said, hey Jay, maybe you can infiltrate some melter gun Raven Guards guys, right? Nuke a tank, and then the next turn your flyer comes on, picks them up again, because you immediately fly off in the same turn by the looks of it, and go back into ongoing reserves to then disembark them somewhere else in the next game turn. So, and we laughed at that quite a bit, didn't we? But the lots of options potentially here for sure. The reactions part, I just wanted to point out, Jay, the evade one, because I've not read it fully myself. So so the evade is no longer a shroud save then, or something along those lines. It's now you get to move out the way.
So I haven't seen a shroud.
Interesting. So evade is literally you move. You get to move your guys out of line of sight, a bit like the Zone Mortalis one. Is that right?
Yes. I think that's what it is. You move your initiative.
That's
so
awesome.
I didn't see a shroud. So I don't know if it exists.
The reposition one is you get to move your initiative, yeah, but that's against an enemy movement phase reaction. So the evade is a shooting phase reaction where you get to move. Cool. Okay. I've not read that, but yeah,
I think these are. I think I've messed these up, because I think what happened was I was reading these in reactions. They're combat assignments. So let's talk about this. This is what they are. The reaction is, this is why I thought they were same thing. The reaction is combat air patrol, where you have a flyer in reserved, and then combat assignments are a new thing, and this is strike mission, strafing run. And these are the other things that we were talking about. So I guess these are statuses that you give to your flyers. You give them a combat assignment, and then they can either fly in and drop people off, or they can fly in and pick people up at the beginning of the turn, or they can fly in and do a strafing run. So there's different combat assignments. So flyers have cool new missions. And the reaction that you use to combat that is you have a flyer in reserve, and you use the combat air patrol reaction to fly on and shoot the flyer that flies in to do a mission.
Yes.
So flyers are changed, but I think they're much more fluffy and much more kind of like a real flyer. It makes flyers really exciting to me.
Because it looks like you can have flyers come on from turn 1. But reading the reserve rolls, I know we're going off piece a little bit here, and it looks like you can choose to keep them in reserve. So as you gave an example earlier off camera, Jay, you might buy Xiphon just to leave it in reserves and have it there.
Yeah.
You know, your enemy's coming in, in a Storm Eagle to drop its scoring unit off on an objective turn 4, and then your Xiphon's like, right, gas up the jet, I'm coming in, and just blows out the sky. Yeah, like, you get that objective, buddy. It's things like that.
Now
it's pretty cool.
My Night Lord Xiphon has a point now. It's just not a cool model.
Yeah.
So it actually has a point. It's air cover.
So this almost guarantees lots of plastic flyers coming out, doesn't it? Of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty easy.
I mean, but it's cool. I like the way that they've used flyers here. I mean, this is funny because I figured this out. We figured this out like live while we were talking to you, that I messed up when I was doing the notes to hurry to do this. But I think flyers are now exciting. So I think flyers are the point that we've actually figured out right now. So just to sum up, reactions are pretty much similar. But the big change, to loop back to reactions, is that you now are only going to get 2 or maybe 3 reactions per turn. And then at the end of the turn, those points go away. So you need to spend those reactions. You can't save them. So I think the difference is you're now going to be, the reactions seem to be just as powerful, but you're going to have to pick which reactions you use over the whole turn. So you're going to have to hold those points for that entire turn.
Yeah, and it made a point of saying that the way your army is built will... It goes on to say that you've got a reaction point allotment, but this can be influenced by your army composition or words to that effect, it says. So
there might be
maybe the way you build your detachments and the way you limit your list will then boost your reactions, which will be perhaps a good integral balance on how you play the game. So, yeah.
We haven't seen all the rules yet, but there might be some sort of you need to have some sort of balanced force in order to get the bonus reactions or something. We'll see when we'll delve into the rules harder when we look at them, and we will see what comes out. But
cool.
There's reaction sum up. We talked about flyers, which are really cool. Why don't we jump into the shooting rules?
Yeah.
And I think the easiest way is just to show you the chart.
Yeah, so a quick overview on this then, Jay. So where are we?
You go for it, because I've been sick.
So ballistic skill's still a thing. It's now changed the way it works. So you don't go 2+ and that's kind of it, or 2+ followed by a 6 up like it used to be. You now get something called the critical rule. So as you see there, BS 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 get a critical critical hit rule on the roll is what I'm trying to say, and it triggers extra wounds essentially, doesn't it, or extra damage by the looks of things.
Yeah, I believe it's just 1.
Yeah, which is cool. So you're such a good shot. You place the shot in a more damaging place. That's ultimately how that works. I imagine we might see snipers get this or something. Who knows? Mm-hmm. It would make sense. It's either
critical something.
Yeah, something like that, right? Snapshots is cool as well. So your snapshot ability is now based on how good a shot you are as well. So, for example, if you're BS4, you're hitting on 3s regularly and you're snap shooting on 5s. And I think that's important because it looks like we're going to be potentially snap shooting a lot more in this edition. I would hazard a guess, seeing as there's going to be a lot more weapon status effects on guns, which would be cool.
I think it's really cool that Marines are snap shooting on 5s now. I think that's really neat.
Yep.
I think it just kind of shows, even suppressed, right? They're better off. It's just kind of cool, in general. I really like the snapshot chart. I think that's really neat. I also like the critical damage for a 6. So if you're 6 list a skill and you roll a 6, you're going to do a +1 damage and you're going to hit. That is going to be really cool. I think that's an interesting way to handle it. Yeah. I mean, I think I've heard some people be a little bit surprised about I think it's auto attack on auto hit on a 10, but I don't know.
Does it bother you? I don't. How much of the game's going to have BS 10?
Who's going to have BS 10?
Does it matter at this point?
I almost feel like this is just to show you, this is how good a 10 is, and this is how bad a 1 is, right? Because it looks like the 1 auto fails a snapshot. So they only hit on 6s. So I mean, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think overall, I'm really happy with this chart. I think it really uses the new rules interestingly, and I think it's easy to absorb.
And touching back to this part here with the primary detachments with this studded ring around the around you. What were these things called here,
That was
Jay?
the prime. I think it's called
Primary
prime.
units. Yeah. So going back to that, so that one of those I think increases your ballistic skill and other stats, doesn't it, by +1? So by the looks of things. So we're on the wrong chart there. So it might be quite interesting. So if you've got a BS5 unit trying to boost them up just to one more BS to go to BS6, then depending on what weapon stats we've got, if we're then getting multiple shots from certain guns, you might be fishing for 6s to do extra points of damage. It could be, just as an aside, quite an interesting way of looking to boost up from 5 to 6. It's going to be cool on certain guns and things, I think, on certain units. Cool, but all in all, I quite like this chart. It's far more detailed and fun than the previous one, as long as it doesn't clog the game up too much. I think that's the only possible criticism here that I can see. I'm sure there'll be many more in the comments for some people that are raging like anything over this. Moving on.
Special rules.
Yeah, special rules. So we haven't got a slide for that, but carry on, buddy.
So let's see. Most of these I just kind of ran through. Some of them are the same, but these are the ones that we had actual like entries for. Shred adds an extra wound on a certain number. So like now, if you're shred 6, you'll get +1 damage on a 6. Bulky is pretty much the same for what I could tell.
Yeah.
Critical hits add 1 extra damage on a roll. So
much like what
it's
we
kind
just discussed, on the
it
table.
seems like shred and critical hit are similar. I don't really understand what the deal is with that. Deep strike was in there, and it is changed a lot. I didn't get a chance to really get too in depth into it, but what I picked out was you have to set up within 6 inches of the first guy. So the guy comes down.
Yeah.
And then you can place anywhere around him within 6 inches. So no more conga line.
Perfect.
Which is cool.
Daisy chaining out. Good.
Yeah, which everyone was like, I'm sorry I'm doing this, but these are the rules.
Yeah.
And then this was the one I was like, wait, what? I want to reread this. Only 1 unit may deep strike a turn. You can deep strike in a transport, though. So if your transport has deep strike, you can throw a unit in there without deep strike.
Okay.
And not on the first turn. So interesting, right? Only 1 unit a turn, I thought was kind of like, whoa, they really changed this around.
There'll be some console that lets you do more, or certain detachments that will let you do certain other things, I reckon. It's got to be right.
Yeah, that's actually a really good shout. I'm sure that there'll be special, like, rights of war, maybe, that let you do something.
Yeah. It'll be like, take a master of signal and he lets you do 2 in a turn or something like that.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Good shout. Firing protocols, from what I could tell, was the same. You can fire more than 1 weapon. Force was interesting. It doubles a characteristic or lets you drop your weapon to AP2. I didn't know if you could select it or if it was in brackets. Like, it might actually be in brackets.
Well, that's a cool change.
So, yeah, I mean, what I like is that you could take a power sword, you could take it and drop it to AP2. You do get the vulnerability of having to have a chance to like get yourself what's it called?
Nullified.
No, when you get the psychic pass. Yeah, thank you. You could have Perils of the Warp. So for an AP2 weapon, you're getting a chance of, like, the bonuses don't see as much. So I hope that Perils of the Warp is not as big of a deal, because otherwise, whatever. But I mean, it's cool. Force seems that is struggling to find something to be useful and not overpowered. This seems like it could do it, but hopefully Perils of the Warp is not too crazy. Heavy gives a bonus to the stat in the bracket, and we've already seen this, right? So like heavy attacks gives plus.
Heavy bolter gets an additional shot, doesn't it? Last cannon does 1 extra damage.
If it doesn't move. And this goes to what I've seen just in general. What seems to be the philosophy of this edition is not a lot of minuses or restrictions, but a lot of bonuses if you follow the rules.
Yes.
Like, that just seems to be the philosophy that I'm seeing. And we'll see how that pans out. Right?
Yeah. It'll be fine for a while, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Next one.
Hatred gives +1 bonus to wound, so no reroll. Oh, the other thing I'm seeing, again, I'll bring this up with this, is I don't think there's many rerolls in this edition, which should be kind of cool. Actually, speeds things up. But yeah, hatred now just gives you a bonus to wound, whatever the hatred is. So that's kind of cool. Explode, strength 8, number of hits are equal to the wounds or hull points of the thing that blew up. Strength 8 dash, which is cool. And then explodes is a special rule. So if you don't have explodes, you don't explode. If you have explode, you explode.
Yeah.
Fast seemed to be just like fleet to me. So you get it on running and charging.
Yeah.
Fear is 12 inches and reduces all leadership stats by X. Fear seems to be absolutely savage again.
Okay.
So the hello Night Lords.
Yeah.
And feel no pain seem the same to me. So those are the special rules. Any questions, or do you want to go through any of those?
Yeah, not really. I feel no pain's stat X again, isn't it? So it's no longer just a standard 5-up. But yeah, you're right. It's the same other than that. That was one I read quite particularly. It made a point of like clarifying at what stage of suffering a shooting attack you get to do your feel no pain, and what stage in a combat you get to do your feel no pain. So it very particularly said you can do your feel no pain at shooting stage X or combat phase X. So if you take an injury outside of those two, arguably I don't think you can get feel no pain. So that'll be interesting to see if there's any other ways you can get injured. Yeah.
So maybe you can't actually. So here's the thing. So maybe you can't actually do a feel no pain versus an explosion.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or like a deep strike mishap or a dangerous terrain test or things like that.
Actually
I think so, based on how it's written, because it's like you do it at stage 11 of shooting, I think, and stage 10 of combat. It said something like that.
So we'll see. Like we'll double check the rule book, but that's a really good actual idea, Pete. Like from reading the rules, like.
Yeah, I think that'll work cool. In the interest of time, because we're 7 minutes over our allotted time, and
we have two more to go through. 2 more points,
quick. So we'll wrap this up.
I can do these. I can do these quickly. Tactical status. We've already seen most of these, but we know what they do now. Pinned, you can't move. Suppressed, you're snap shooting. Stunned, you cannot do reactions. Routed, you're falling back just like before. Yeah. So those are the what they do. Kind of what we suspected, but like now we know for sure.
Yep.
And the last is the vehicle damage chart, which I think we have a picture for.
Yes, we do.
Which is interesting. Glancing now does not do damage, but you take a roll on this chart and you gain, like Pete was right about this, you gain one of the tactical statuses. The thing is if you already have that tactical status, you then take a hull point. And that's what glancing does now. Penetrating, from what we can tell, only does one thing, which is damage. So you take whatever damage you got shot with.
Yes. So I think it's interesting. It looks like there's no vehicle explodes anymore.
Yeah.
Looks like
I think no. I think they'll have the explode special rule.
Sorry.
So
I mean,
if they die, they'll not explode.
There's no one shot. Sorry, that's what I meant. Beg your pardon.
Got it.
Looks like you can't one tap a Land Raider anymore, for example. Which, I mean, if they've boosted the hull points and they've removed the ability to be single shot, and they've made penetrating hits not do vehicle damage results, then that's interesting. That's made them a hell of a lot tougher. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I kind of think I think penetrating hits you should lose a wound and suffer the vehicle damage.
I want to see anything survive 2 melt-the-gun hits that do 6 damage.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're entirely right. Hey, at least they won't be stunned.
Or 20 damage when all 10 las cannons hit that haven't moved. So I think the multiple damage, we'll see how it pans out, but I think the multiple damage is taking care of this problem.
I think so. Be interesting to see if you can evade. I need to read the evade reaction. Because if you can move out the way of being shot at, can you just move outside of melter range?
I think so, yeah.
That's oh
You're not going to talk about. I was going to leave you the last thing to talk about.
Is there one more?
The thing that made you super excited, the Rex.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the Rex. The
You want to tell them about the Rex?
The wrecked vehicles on the right-hand side here. There we go. So wrecked vehicles. Yes, so you get to choose. But if both players agree to use the wrecked vehicle special rule, you can go ahead with it. So does that mean, actually looking at it, Jay, does that mean vehicle explodes is an optional rule? I think it does.
No, if the vehicle explodes, the wreck is removed. But like, if it doesn't, you can both decide to leave it there, and then it counts as area and difficult, dangerous terrain with a 6-up cover save.
No, but
they're just giving it rules.
No, if both players agree to use the wrecked vehicles special rule, then the following rules apply. So you only take the explodes X rule if you both agree to use the wrecked vehicles rule.
No, if the model also has the explodes X special rule, then that special rule is triggered.
Oh.
It is do not
so
replace
the explodes
it with
always happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you want,
brain
you can leave. You can leave. It's okay. It's okay. You've been working on professional business things.
So if you explode,
I've been working on video games.
So if you explode, both professional. If you explode, you don't necessarily. Yeah, if you explode, you always explode. It's just whether or not you explode and become a wreck or explode and removed from the board.
Yes.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it. That's our sum up.
Yeah. All right. Only 11 minutes over. That ain't bad for all this leaks. So give it a like, give it a subscribe, please. That helps massively. Anything else you want to add, Jay?
No, that's it. Thanks, guys. Bye.